Hey there, 𝗧𝗵𝗿 here with the Leaders World, brought to you by Leaders World Institute. Today we are talking the leadership mindset. Yes, that is our topic for today. The Leaders World is your corner where we speak with leaders about issues that touch leadership to help you and your leadership and your business and your personal life and your family grow to that next level. So today we are looking at the leadership mindset, and with me in the studio already is Dr. Harold Waffle, who is an economist and founder of the Discipleship Academy, which is an institute for the marketplace by the marketplace. He defended his master's thesis in applied mathematics to computer. He also started his career as a network engineer and moved up to infrastructure architect in Fortune 10 financial industry. He decided to further his studies in economics at the University of South Florida, where he graduated in economics. He also specializes in the rational prophetic, combining current events to biblical prophecies to make rational economic predictions. With me in the studio is, of course, Dr. Harold Waffle. I call him, we've come a long way, and we call him La Sagesse Divine. If you know, you know. With us in the studio, please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Harold Waffle.
Hello.
All right, Doctor, you're so welcome on the Leaders World, and we are so grateful that you chose, amidst your busy schedule, to put this as a priority as part of what you want to do for 2023 with us, and we are really, really thankful. For our audiences, we are hoping that Charlotte Albert will be able to join us as we move on. She's not been able to join so far. We are hoping that she'll be able to join us as we move on. But we wanted to be respectful of your time because we know that many of you are already there waiting for us, and we're definitely kicking off this conversation. When you saw this subject, when you saw this topic, what came into your mind, Dr. Waffle?
Well, I was very blessed to see the topic, and I just finished a book in English and French that's called Uncommon Wisdom, and I was about to publish it. And when I saw the leadership mindset in the book, one of the main quote I say, "Your life is a picture of what is in your mind." Nobody sees your mind. Nobody sees your what is in your mind. But when we look at your life, we can know exactly how your mind is. So technically, it was very. I was excited to see the topic, the leadership mindset. Yeah.
Can you go a little bit deeper? When we look at your life, we can see exactly what your mindset is. Can you go a little bit deeper and just unveil, just unveil a little bit of what you actually mean by that?
Well, you will never become what you have not been in your mind. That's by design of God. Our mind is exactly where everything's supposed to be conceived. It's the invisible world of our life. So when you, whatever you do in life, it is conceived in the mind. So everything around you says something about your mind. The way you look, the way you organize your house, the way you clean, everything around you says something about your mind. So actually, so if somebody knows how to read mind, just need to look around you and you can draw a picture of your mind. So technically, that's why anything you want to really change or address or correct, whatever you want to do, it starts with the mind. Because if it's not correct in the mind, forget about it.
Oh, tell us about the leadership mindset. The leadership mindset. What comes into your mind when you hear the leadership mindset?
Well, when it came to my mind. Many people try to learn how to become leader or try to technically try to influence. But when you have the right mindset, it becomes nature. Because what is in your mind, it becomes your nature. So the right mindset is when you understand what you are supposed to be and how you're supposed to influence the people around you as a part of your mandate, as a part of your destiny, when it becomes a mindset, you don't even have to work about it anymore because your life will just portray it naturally.
So, are you saying that leadership can actually become a mindset and a way of life?
It
Leadership
is.
can actually become a mindset and a way of life for me, for you, for everyone that's listening to us. Are you saying that this is actually possible?
That's possible. And the greatest leaders in our world, in the history, when I studied the history of the world, they never had a class on leadership. They never had a class on leadership. They actually just had a different mindset. They were able to lead the millions and into all kinds of things. Even bad leaders was able to lead millions into terrible things, but they never had a class on leadership. It's just a mindset. It's just the way they were thinking.
Wait. So are you saying that we are just like we should stop this broadcast? We should stop this live stream because we don't need to learn anything
No,
about.
no, no. I am
We
not
don't need to go
saying.
to school to learn this thing. Is that what you're telling us now?
Okay, well, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that we should not learn about leadership. No, no, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, what I'm saying is that when you have the real learning is to change your way of thinking. It's different. There's a difference between knowledge and mindset. The mindset is the way of thinking. Knowledge is what you have acquired by learning, but the mindset is the way your mind actually process information and where your mind is thinking. So when you have the right mindset, you become the topic. You are the topic. You are the leader. You think like that. You think so as a man thinketh, so he is. So you become the leader immediately because your mind is already like that. So I'm not saying now we can train our mind to get to that place, but once it's there, you become the topic.
So how is this anybody's business? Like, let's say you are not having this big business, this big company, because people are in positions where maybe they are leading and their team members already, they're like, leadership is my business. I am supposed
Mhm.
to imbibe these qualities and be able to show them. How about people who are listening to us who are thinking, but how does this concern me? Maybe I don't have a big business. I don't have a team that I'm trying to build. How is leadership my business? What would be your response to that type of a question?
Well, it's just a simple ignorance. It's the way we are designed by God. We are social beings. So our destiny or whatever we have called to do has to do with people. That's number one thing. We have called to influence people. You don't have to be in, the director of a big company or create the greatest company to be a person of great influence. But everyone that comes around you will receive a level of influence from you. So you have to understand that you have the responsibility to influence, like leadership is influence, to influence positively and in the right way according to what you carry the people around you. So you can be in a very lower position, but still have a great influence wherever you are. So that's just to have the mindset that, hey, listen, I'm not here. Whatever I do, I'm first here to lead, to influence people around me. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. Yes. Mhm.
So if you were to give a definition of the leadership mindset, if you
Yeah.
were to give a definition of the leadership mindset, if you were to describe the leadership mindset, what would you be saying to us at this time?
At this time, I can say that when you have a leadership mindset, is everything I do is when your mind started processing information, what you do in regard of what kind of influence is going to have on people. So everything you do is based on that. Is how am I going? What is it that I'm doing now is going to influence people directly in connection with me, and and furthermore. So when you think that way, automatically it changes the way you do things because you don't do it for you. You do it in a way to impact the people around you. So that's what I call the mindset of doing things or projecting or planning. Whatever you do is in the mindset to lead, in other words, to influence.
Mm, mm. So what you're saying is the leadership mindset is basically the mindset that says it's not just about me, it's
Yes.
about it's about the people that are watching me as well, and
Mhm.
it's about the people who are I'm interacting with. It's
Mhm.
about the people I'm interacting with, because
Mhm.
if I have that mindset of a leader, then I know that I am a leader.
Mhm.
And everything that I do is affect somebody else,
That's correct.
and
That's
we
correct.
are looking at being able to affect people positively,
Mhm.
so that they're moving forward because they met us. They are
Mhm.
moving forward because they encountered us. Um,
Correct.
okay, so what are the greatest factors that influence leadership?
Well, I can first say is how you surround yourself. That's the biggest influence. So, who do you listen to? Who do you follow yourself? And what kind of influence you expose yourself to? Because we are a direct product of our environment. So, we there is nothing. I used to say that everything you see has an everlasting impact in you. Whatever you hear, whatever you touch, whatever you read, everything has influence in you. So it becomes a part of you technically. So if you listen to music, it becomes a part of you. If you listen to someone, it becomes a part of you. So the biggest influence, I would say, is the environment where you decide to plug yourself into. That is the number one biggest influence.
Wow, wow.
Mhm.
You know, while you were talking, I was just thinking about what you were saying, and I discovered that it's really actually a fact of life that we are influenced by our environments, and
Mhm.
we can influence our environments as well. And in the
Mhm.
same way that we make our environments make us, we can make our environments as human
Mhm.
beings, and that influences our personalities and influence how we grow up. And when I'm thinking about environment, we might think of the physical environment, but
Mhm.
there is even the internal environment,
Correct.
which is part of who we are. And
Mhm.
if we are talking about managing our environments, it's the emotional environment, it's the
Correct.
physical environment, it's the
Correct.
spiritual environment,
Correct.
it's a mental space that we have in this
Mhm.
head. It's all that put together. Can you tell us a little bit more about all these aspects of the environments that influence the leader, and which, according to you, are the biggest factors that influence us as leaders?
Yeah, the way you create that kind of environment is number one is the kind of people you admire, and you have to run after, because everything you admire is a product of something that was going right in the mind.
Mm.
So if I look at your life and I like somebody or something, my wife was reminding me this morning that I was talking about you and the way you raise a kid, and she said she want to be, she wants me to be able to say the same uh, 10 years down the road, So that's just a little example. Say that when you admire something, when we admire something, it's because you have put some effort. And was reminding me, if you admire her, it's because she definitely have done something right. You have the mindset of raising those kids that way. It doesn't happen by accident. Good thing doesn't happen by accident. You plan it and you work for it before you create product. So now you have to
and
admire
we make mistakes, we fall and we rise.
everybody. Yeah, that's correct. In the
I
process
remember
of
one time we had a meeting with our son, and for me it was a really emotional meeting, and we were talking with him about some things and just letting him know how we cared about him. And it was his day out, because at some point in life we said, oh, we have to do this to get closer to our children,
Mhm.
and that's looking at the family space and leadership in that family space. So we started taking each child out. We'll ask you where you want to go, maybe go eat something, and then we go out with you. And then we were having this conversation, and then he said something. He said, why is it that it's only now you're asking these questions and talking about these things? That just really um that just really broke me because I have always wanted to be that positive example and positive figure for them. But when he said that, that told me that in his eyes, we had been failing as parents. And what, yes, yes.
Wow.
He did not feel, he wasn't feeling our love as parents, even though we thought we were being loving and we were
Mhm.
giving him what he needed to grow as a child. He said, so why is it only now that you're talking about this and asking these questions? And so I told him, I said, we've made mistakes as parents. We are sorry for all the mistakes we've made. But I want to assure you that we are definitely growing and we are learning. So the fact that you're able to say this now is going to help us to grow as well.
Mhm.
And we thank you very much for being open. But
Mhm.
it just brought me to that that place of reflection where we can think we are leading, but the people that we are leading definitely know we are failing.
Wow.
Yes, it brought me to that place. To them, we are really, really failing, and we think we are leading and we think we are doing an excellent job. So it also caused me to bring myself back to that place where, oh, wherever I am, I have to listen to the people I'm working with and actually get their feedback on my leadership.
Mhm.
Because if it's not working for them, then who am I serving?
Mhm.
Because if
That's
I'm there to serve them, then if it's not working for them, who am I really serving? That's
mhm.
just a reflection because you talked about raising kids and how you admire. Oh,
Mhm.
just putting it out there. We've been at conferences where people are asking, "Oh, how did you raise your son? How did you raise your children? Oh my goodness, at this age, look at." I'm like, mm-mm, mm-mm, no. It's intentionality, it's work, it's um just putting in that leadership in everything that we do, and we are still working and we are still learning and we are still growing. But please, if you have children and you're thinking about how you're raising them, you might also want to talk with them and get their feedback on mommy and daddy's leadership at home.
Well, one thing I've learned from my dad, I believe my dad have done a wonderful job raising us, and but at the time when he was raising us, I never understood. And he was disciplined and high level discipline. I actually thought he was failing. It's only now, sometimes it's only after 30 years old. I mean, after some time that I realized the wisdom and the knowledge behind everything he was doing. But at the time, I thought he was failing me. So sometimes also the pain of discipline can give the wrong perception to your child, to anyone that you're leading. You may feel like, okay, well, you're doing something wrong or you are failing and stuff, but it's only 10, 20 years down the road that you understand that, wow, my dad was so wonderful. My
Right,
mom did
right.
the right, got it right, so because if
Well,
you lead somebody who is able to make the right judgment on everything you do, then you can't lead him because he already have all the knowledge you have. You're leading him because you know what he doesn't know. You've been to where he has not been. You have experience that he doesn't. So here, there's a level of humility on both ends. You understand? So on both ends, level of humility to say, hey, listen, I may not understand this right now, but I trust my parents enough to lead me into the right direction.
thank you so much for bringing that twist into the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the leadership mindset on the Leaders World, and I am here with Dr. 𝗪𝗲 we have a viewer that says he cannot hear us. So if you can hear us, we want you to put in the chat for us hashtag mindset. Please do it now so we know you can actually hear us, so that our viewer can work on his sounds if he's the one that's having the problem, if he's the one that's having the challenge. Please go ahead and put in the chat #mindset, just to let us know you are hearing us. And I'm coming back to you, Dr. Wadfo, to ask you, what is the greatest mindset shift that you have ever made as a leader? As a leader, what is the greatest mindset shift you have ever made as a leader? What is the greatest mindset shift you have ever made as a leader?
Yes, in one of the books that I wrote about the bipolarity of creation. Everything is bipolar. You have leaders and you have followers. You have masters, you have slaves, according to the Bible. And the greatest shift that ever happened to my mind is when I shifted from the slavery mentality to the master mentality.
You know, some people feel more comfortable talking about leaders and followers, but when it comes to masters and slaves, we may want to say and servants, because I think people are more comfortable with the word servants these
I
days
agree.
than slaves, because you know how the mindset was. And so let's just go with servants. Tell us about the bipolarity, though.
Well, I talk about my experience, so I like to use the word that actually suit my experience.
Let's go. Keep going, sir.
Yeah. So I actually, a slave, what I used to be, is one who doesn't have control of his time, doesn't have control of his money, it doesn't have nothing to say about how somebody else decide about your money, somebody decide about your time, and somebody else decide about how you use your talent, because these are the three treasures of any human being: time, talent.
Oh, wait, tell us again about those three treasures of
Yeah.
any human being.
Yeah, and you remember, you have your time, you have your talent, and you have your treasures. Actually, three real assets of any human being: the time, talent, and treasure. So now, if somebody else has to say anything about those three in your life, you're not totally free. You are a slave. Somebody control your time, tell you when to wake up, tell you when to go to bed, how many days you're allowed to be sick in the month, in a year. So all these things, it's you're not free technically. And I had to accept first that I was a slave. I was infrastructure architect. I was working for a big company, leading more than 300 engineers. But I had to admit to myself that still I was a slave, because I had no control of my time, no control of the way I want to use my knowledge, because everything is already written. You have the book, you have to go by the book. And also, and I couldn't say I want to double my income next month. So I could say that because somebody else has to say about it. So I was a perfect slave. So I had to shift from that again. If I'm a slave, it simply means that my mind thinks like a slave. That's simple, because my life is a perfect picture of what is in my mind. So the bigger shift is when I rejected the slavery mentality and I embraced the master mentality. That was the biggest shift of my life, and my life has never been the same.
So this master mentality, to you, that was the biggest shift that you made, the biggest mindset shift that you made, that has influenced your leadership and is influencing your life. So what has this mentality brought to you? Ladies and gentlemen, listen, we are talking on the leadership mindset, and we have Dr. 𝗪𝗲 in the house. Okay, so can you tell us what that master mentality has brought to you? What is it all about, though?
Okay, the slave mentality. A slave doesn't have a problem to depend on somebody else, depend on the system. He doesn't have a problem with that. The master have a very serious problem to have somebody else decide about his time, about his money, or about and about his knowledge. So that was the first thing, to really embrace the hatred of somebody else deciding about your life, where your life is going to be. That is the first thing. I don't care how much money I was making, very, very good money, but at the same time, but I valued my freedom so much more than that. I just realized I looked at the fact that I was depending on people and to about my life. It was so painful, and I had to make that shift. So that's the first thing. You have to understand that slaves depend on masters to live, but masters use the slave to live. So that's the first thing. I say, okay, well, I refuse to depend on people, but I want people to depend on me. So that's the first shift.
So if I understand very well, it's about taking full responsibility for your life and
Correct.
avoiding to depend on people for what happens to your life.
That's
And
right.
if I understand also, you're looking at it from a personal perspective, the decisions
Correct.
that you took for your personal growth and for your personal development,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm right. So,
That's correct.
and the way you sounded, it's like you actually had to quit the job where you were working so you could be maybe an independent business person.
Mm-hmm.
Are
Yeah,
those all part of the decisions you made?
correct. For me,
Okay.
slavery, I came to the realization that slavery is a matter of choice. Can you afford to stay home and not to go to work? If the answer is no, you're a slave. If the answer is yes, so is the choice. So if I can go back to work if I want to, but do I have the choice not to? If the answer is no, then I'm a slave. Because you, at the end of the day, some people are called to be teachers. Some people are called to be lecturer or doctors. All right, but do you have the choice to stay home and not to? Do you have that choice? Because you can make that decision out of your conviction, but not out of obligation. How am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to pay
Wow.
this? How am I going to do that? So if you don't have a choice, then you're a slave. But if
So,
you have a choice,
so,
you
so
make
that
things
so that was the biggest mindset shift that you made for yourself, and it has
correct.
affected a lot of how thinking about making those shifts and
Mhm,
taking full responsibility for your life. I also think that in line with what you're talking about, we can also look at um, ensuring that we are also responsible for all our actions,
mhm,
and instead of being reactive in life, we are proactive
mhm.
so that our actions come from us, not because
Correct.
A did this,
Mhm,
I do this. No, even if A does this, I choose to do Z, and that's what I do because
mhm,
I am in control. That is
mhm,
part of leadership as well. And that
mhm,
also brings us to the a part of maybe our behaviors and the values that we stand by and the characteristics that we want to show out
mhm,
there, and let people know who we truly are, and the character part, many times people react to situations because, oh, somebody did this to me, so I have to do this. And
mhm,
part of taking that control is saying, even though A did this is not how I'm going to respond. Why? Because I have the leadership mindset, and the leadership mindset is not dependent on how other people choose to behave. I was just thinking about, the other twist to how that independence can come in as we are looking at the leadership mindset. I don't know if that made sense.
mhm,
The yeah, you were about you were talking about those treasures, the time, talent, and treasures, and Dr. Waffle
mhm,
told us that we have to ensure that we are taking charge of our
mhm,
time, of
mhm,
our treasures, and our talents. So,
mhm,
who is in control of your time at this point of your life? You have to
mhm,
ask yourself those questions and be able to know how to answer them. Because if
mhm,
somebody else is in control of your time, what percentage of that time are they in control of? And what can you do to have more control of that time? It may not be
mhm.
sudden, it may not be immediate,
Correct.
but
Correct.
you working towards having more control of your time, because
Yes.
that's all part of the leadership mindset. Uh,
Mhm.
okay, I have somebody else saying there is no sound. If you can hear us, can you please write let's grow, let's grow, let's grow. If you can hear us, please write let's grow. Somebody else said there is no sound. If you can hear us, please write let's grow. It's going to help us know you're hearing us. Um, this technology. All right. Yeah. It says somebody said no sound. All right. Please write, let's grow. Let's grow. Please write it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we want to look at all of that. Who is in control of your time? Who is in control of your talents? Who is
Mhm.
harnessing your talents? And what are they doing with your talents?
That's correct.
How much control do you have of the harnessing of those talents? You want to
Mhm.
verify all of that. That's all part of leadership growth. That's all
Mhm.
part of leadership growth. As far as foundational attitudes and beliefs and expectations when it comes to leadership, foundational attitudes, beliefs when it comes to leadership. Dr. Waffle, can you speak into that for us, please?
Well, believe it's very, very important. It's everything you believe. It's can you guys can only hear when you put the phone? All right, somebody. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
All
Please,
right.
can you all turn up your volumes because where I am, I have turned up my speakers and my volume to 100. Um, and there is nothing else I've done in the studio, which is not the way we used to do it. So I don't know what's happening. Go on, sir. Sally said you're very clear. Thank you, Sally.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Can you rephrase the question, please?
Oh
One.
yeah, yeah. As far as foundational attitudes,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
foundational beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
foundational expectations when it comes to the leadership mindset.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those must have values, attitudes, expectations of ourselves when it comes to the leadership mindset?
Well, I think the core belief that we must have the first belief that there is a higher uh, being, and we will be accountable to everything we do. That I think it's very important to have that belief.
Wow.
That everything I do, I will give account all to the one who created me. That is very important. And
Hmm.
also, we have to really understand the value that of the people around us. So if you can't really lead those who you don't value, and that's a big problem I see. Especially, I just came back from Africa. You don't. I was one day walking with a great man in Africa, and he's leading thousands of people, and then he accidentally stepped into the feet of her secretary. I know I accidentally stepped into her feet because we were walking together and there was a crowd, and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I really apologize." And I tried to arrange her shoes and everything. And he looked at me when she left, and he said, "Wow, I never apologized to any of my my work." And um, so technically, I was shocked by that. He said, "Oh, I never apologized to any of my." So he's right or wrong, he never apologized, and I understood that he was not leading; he was kind of a king. It's different between a dictator and a leader. It's totally different. So he was really operating into that kingship mindset, like yeah. So we have to understand that we are the people around us that we are called to serve, not to lead, but we are called to serve through, I mean, to lead through our service, our value. And it's because we know and understand their value that we are willing to pour ourselves into them. And that has to be a core belief deep inside us that we value the people around us. They have value. They may not have money, they may not have reached the level where we are, but we need to value them. We need to treat them with respect, honor, and that is must be come from the deep belief inside. If not, we will not be able to. We are not qualified to pass anything to them. I used to say
Yes,
to
because true leadership is actually earned. The people give the leader their trust
mhm,
for the leader to lead them.
Mm-hmm.
And if that value is not seen, then it becomes a dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
This is so
That's right.
beautiful. Dr. Waffle, I'd like for you to pick up exactly from where you are right now as we come
Mm-hmm.
back. Ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead, take your notes, and let us know how this is working for you and what decisions are you making, because 2023 is about to be your best year ever.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.
Here we are with Dr. 𝗪𝗲𝗍𝗲, and we are talking the leadership mindset. We are looking at those foundational attitudes and beliefs and expectations that every leader must have. And he shared with us already about how the foundational, we have to understand that we are accountable to a higher power, and then
Mm-hmm.
that helps us to put us in check automatically. And the
Mm-hmm.
next thing he said is we have to value the people that we are called to lead. And then he gave the example of a situation that arose, and he was apologizing to this person, and this big leader said, I never apologize to any of the people I'm leading. And that was something that that leader learned on that day. What are you learning on this broadcast? I received a message this morning, and somebody was telling me about what they've learned, what they've been learning on these broadcasts, and they actually almost gave me an entire broadcast. So they had been written down all of their notes, and I'm like, way to grow, way to grow. So are you growing? What are you learning today? The leadership mindset with Dr. 𝗪𝗲𝗍𝗲, sir.
Well, we're talking about the value, right? The first,
The values, the
the
beliefs, the must-haves for every leader.
so we have to put the value at the right place. The other thing I think a very good leader must have is to understand the value of time. That is the greatest riches. You have to understand and respect the time. So like was very blessed because 5 minutes before time of trying to get the other phone, I just decided to use another phone for the broadcast just in case, so that I to avoid the phone calls. And right before time, you called me, and I understood that you put value into what you do. So I don't personally, I don't give value to something that you don't give value to yourself. And if you do something, I must see that you put a lot of value into it. So most thing I've realized that very few people put enough value in time, and they don't understand the value of the time. Yeah, so if it's 1 hour, how do you value that time? How do you prepare for it? What do you put into it? It's so important. The value of the time, if when you understand the value of the time, you give the best to that time, to that moment of influence, like what you're doing now. It's so important. So we don't do things just because we want to do them. We do them because we want to influence people. And if there is no value put into that time, it's not we are not going to succeed to achieve what we want to achieve. That is so important. You value the belief of the accountability that you're going to give account to everything you do. The belief that the people that you lead is not because you are necessarily better than them or you are superior. You just what you are driven by, what you have that you want to give, you want to share, you want to give to them. And also you have to value the time. So those are the belief, the core belief. I think if we start including, like personally, I always say that the best gift of my best gift to anyone is my time. So if I spend time with somebody, and that's the best way for me to show you how I value, because I do have the revelation of the value of my time. So my time is very, very valuable. So if I spend time with someone who doesn't value my time, immediately the next 30 minutes I'll be gone, because I don't want to waste my time. I want
So
to.
if you're watching us, you want to ask yourself, do you value your time?
Yeah,
What is your time worth? What
that's
is
right.
your time worth? And
Mm,
what value do you give your time?
mhm.
let me just ask you this question. As a leader, have you ever
Mhm.
felt lost?
Yeah, it's I think that in every phase of leadership, because we there is a principle in the Bible that says the light of the righteous goes gradually. Like you don't have the big picture from the very beginning. If I want to drive from here to Florida to Baltimore, I my light would only show me in certain level, certain certain distance. So yeah, it was you may find some
The light
time.
of the righteous is growing brighter unto a perfect day.
Correct. So we might feel lost sometimes. We might yeah, you can't actually lead get to a place where you never. I mean, you always have to have that. You will have that because then for me, it's the time where I'm invited to question and to evaluate, to pray and to inquire to make sure that I'm still on the right path. So we always going to feel that always, and it's good. It's a good actually it's a good thing to feel that because.
You know, you've talked about this good thing that when you feel lost as a leader,
Mhm,
don't get discouraged. It's time to
mhm,
go back into that inner space. You know,
mhm,
if you do not meditate, please, that's one thing you want to start doing in 2023.
mhm,
That's listen for my friends who are, religious people, Christians. So listen, it's not about just sitting there and talking. It's about being quiet and being still and let that voice speak from your inside. Okay. So if you do not meditate, you want to start meditating. Very important. Like Dr. Waffle said, you have to come back if you feel lost. No, it's not a time to be discouraged or start feeling despair. You might want to come back inside and just spend that time to reflect and meditate. Why? Because the answers are always there, closer to you than you even know it. They are always there within you. All right. And if you think you need an extra hand, an extra pair of eyes, somebody to help, that's why coaches and mentors exist. You know, you talked about it's a good thing. It's a good thing when you feel like you're getting lost. And that brings me to another conversation that I've been thinking about recently: the purpose of fear,
mhm.
the importance of fear. Would you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, there is. I will talk about it from the standpoint of principles.
Uh-huh.
It's very important. The way I really changed my mindset by understanding the principles of God and the book that I wrote, the 12 Secrets of the Kingdom. I voiced 12 very important principles, and one of them is called the bipolarity. So everything that you think is good, the opposite. I mean, it will not stand if you don't know the opposite. So everything has a complement by
Like
itself.
faith and fear. If you know faith, you have to know fear, I
You have
guess.
to know fear. If you don't know fear, you can't know faith. So you those they goes together. So the only way to develop faith for me is by understanding the fear that's already inside and dealing with them. So fear is good and it's something that is going to be there. And you have to understand that it's designed by design. It has to be there and you have to deal with them in order to develop your faith.
Hmm. Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. You said something about knowing the fears that are already there and how to deal with them. Oh, if
Hmm.
you've not yet reached out to me, please reach out to me for the Excelling Ladies Boot Camp. We had the first launching yesterday. Please reach out to me. It's for female leaders 30 and above. Hey, it's going to be explosive. We are going to be dealing with these mindset matters and take your whole leadership to the next level. So please reach out to me so you can see how you could be part of this. And you know, Dr. Wafo, another thing that I discovered is that fear is actually so important in life, but because we have given it a negative connotation, every
All
time
right.
fear comes, we look at it negatively. Fear is important because there is the kind of fear that helps you to run away from maybe danger. If there is a lion standing in front of you, it's going to make you afraid so you can keep yourself safe, and you might maybe flight freeze or all those responses that come because of that kind of fear. And then there is also the inner fear. Why? Because our lives are conditioned, our brains are conditioned to keep us safe. So
Mm-hmm.
every time you want to go away from your comfort zone, you're definitely going to feel some kind of fear. So every
Correct.
time you feel that discomfort and a little bit of fear because of something new you want to do, that is your clue to tell you that you're about to enter another breakthrough. Okay?
Correct.
That's your
Correct.
clue to let you know you're about to step into something bigger than what you've
Mhm.
been in already. So what you want to do is to ask yourself, what is fear telling me right now? Fear might be telling you, go ahead and do it afraid. Fear might be telling you, go ahead and learn some more so that you're more confident. Fear might be telling you, go ahead and reach out to this person who might help you answer this
Mhm.
question so that you're more confident. So, what does fear become in your life? Fear becomes a friend. Fear
Yes.
becomes a positive ally in your life
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that you have a whole new perspective on
Mhm.
fear.
Mhm.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Waffle, for just helping us to understand that pausing to reflect
Mhm.
is very, very important as we grow on the leadership journey and as we work on our mindsets as leaders. Maybe I've asked this question again. Let me just ask
And
it.
let me add something to what you just said. I want to add, this is so important when it comes to fear. Don't always deal with your fears. Always don't ignore them. You have to address them. You have to face them. Always, always, because there is a purpose for it. Once fear comes in your heart, you don't ever ignore your fears. You have to
Mm,
deal with them. You
mm,
have to. They're there for a purpose, like you just said. You have to deal with them.
mm,
Like I'm just gonna give you a quick parenthesis. When I moved to Florida back in the days, every day I was going out for running or doing something.
mm.
I would always see a snake, and I was so afraid at the time of snakes. I mean, I would freeze if I see. It was terrible. Then I went back and I said that is not normal because I pray a lot and I believe in God and I believe in the Bible. So I went and I started facing that fear. And what I was doing before I go out, I used to pray and imagine myself in front of a snake. And I
Mm.
will pray that fear that I'm supposed to face in the street, I will face it right when I was praying.
And
So I was,
condition a
then I will,
response.
yes, I will face it and pray till I overcome the fear. So when I go out, when I see a snake, I'm not afraid anymore. Why? I
Wow.
dealt with that fear before. So we have
Yes.
to address the fear. And there's all kinds of fear: the fear of divorce, the fear of
Let,
losing your job, the fear
let me let me
of
let me
losing your
tell.
money, the fear of losing your house. There's all kinds of fear. But if you deal with them before you overcome them, then you can have faith
I
to.
was so afraid of heights. I actually froze on a bridge in California while I was driving.
Wow.
It was bad. It was at night. It was my first time driving in California. Once my car got on the bridge, I froze. My
Wow.
entire body got tense. I was like, okay, it's either I'm going to die here or I am going to overcome this thing once and for all. Cars were hooting behind me. I was using somebody's car that could have been damaged. It was, but I can now drive on bridges. Long story short, long story short, I can now drive on bridges and
Mhm.
I had to face it. I had to face it. I mean, just the thought of that moment, I could have lost my life and everything bad could have happened. And to think of it that most of the things we are afraid of, the probability of them happening is usually less than 1%.
Hmm. Wow.
Think of it. All the things
Mhm.
you've been afraid of, how many of them have actually happened?
Lord.
How many of them have actually happened? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking the leadership mindset. Please, we are in the last 6 minutes. If you have a question, this is your time to ask that question before Dr. Waffle leaves us. And also, if you have a comment, what is your comment? Maybe there's something we left out on the leadership mindset and you wanted us to talk about it. Please go ahead, put it in the chat. Okay, so that others can also learn. And if you put it in the chat, I am going to highlight your comment so everybody gets to learn from you as well. The leadership mindset. How are you going to step into 2023? Are you going to step into 2023 with the leadership mindset, knowing that it's going to take you and you alone to make your dreams come true? I know some of us are doing New Year resolutions and setting goals and renewing and reviewing stuff, but hey, the mindset you want to take into 2023 would be the leadership mindset. That's the mindset that says, I've got this, I can do this. That's the mindset that says, I can overcome anything I want to overcome. That's the mindset that says, I value people and everything I do influences somebody. That's the mindset that says, some of the bad attitudes I had that kept me bound, I can take them into my next level because I need to drop them. That's that mindset. That's that mindset. What is the greatest differentiator as far as leadership journeys? Like, what differentiates one leader who finally excels and another leader who struggles for 5-10 years in whatever they want to do and how to accelerate their leadership journey and their leadership dreams? What is that one differentiator, Dr. Waffle?
Well, naming one probably is going to be a bit difficult, but what I can see is discipline, hard work, and focus. So that's I think that if we can put those three together as one, discipline.
Please say them again. I'm writing.
Discipline, hard work, and focus. You know, those are for me, those three must be together as
Somebody
one.
put in the chat, hashtag discipline, hard work, focus, hashtag discipline, hard work, focus. Put that in the chat for us, please. Go ahead, sir. I love it.
Yeah, because when you know where you're going, you have to put a lot of discipline to go there, you know, to be not distracted and to just be focused and doing exactly what you want to do. And you have to put a lot of hard work too, because if that's what would differentiate the average. You know, I've seen some people with great vision, but no discipline, no hard work, not focus. You know, take you nowhere. You just be in visioning so many things. But those are the three things that I personally, when I monitor and I study some of the leaders, I think that's what will differentiate them, you know, discipline, hard work, and focus.
If you're watching us, what areas do you need to apply more discipline in as you step into 2023? What areas do you need more discipline in? Today, I was so happy and proud of myself because I told myself at least 15 minutes of workout every morning, 3 times a week, because I'd made this decision over and over, but I wasn't doing it. But this morning, actually, I just thought, you know what? I've been able to be consistent this year. And I give myself a pat on the back, and I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in everything that I do. So what do you need to be more disciplined in? What do you need to be more consistent in? And what do you need to be more focused in? All right. For some of you, you might just make up your mind that you're going to read one book every month. One book that's not so hard. When you have a clear, big picture before you, it spurs you on and motivates you and inspires you to do what you need to do. All right. So what is that big, clear picture that you have in front of you that pushes you on? Let me just tell you. Okay. Let me just be transparent here. For me, the exercise thing is big because Like when I had my last child, it was a very difficult pregnancy, and it was a twin pregnancy. My dream twins. And of course, Dr. Harold is part of that story. He knows part of that story. And one of them is in heaven right now, but we have the treasured other one with us. And I was paralyzed on one leg for a long time. I couldn't have any feeling. So I've been telling myself, as I'm getting older, I want to still be able to walk on my feet. I want to be able to walk on my own legs. When I'm 70, 80, 90, I want to still be able to walk, because just the fact that I was paralyzed at that time, I'm like, and then when I stand for long, I feel strain in that leg. So I have to work, because if I don't, it might become weaker and weaker. And as I get older, I might not be able to carry myself. So that's my big picture. An old Susan, 90, walking on her own legs and not having to suffer on a wheelchair, because that's not the life I want for my old age. So I have to push myself. So what is your big picture of yourself that can push you towards your dreams? What is it? We have two questions, and just because they came in, we are going to take them. And the one question is, are leaders born or created? Are they made or created? Can you just talk on that, and then we go to the next one, because we have to round up. Anita, we are taking your question. Okay, we are taking your question. All right.
All right. I think Susan can really well elaborate on that question. Born or
Really? It's really okay. Listen. Leaders are born and they are also made, period.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leaders are born and they are also made, period. Why are leaders born? Because each of us has the capacity to influence thousands of people in our lifetime. And if leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less, according to my mentor, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗍𝗶𝗍𝗲, then the fact that you're just able to influence people makes you a leader. But hey, you have to embrace it to be able to grow it. You have
That's
to
right.
embrace it to be able to grow it. And how do you embrace it? You embrace it by, first of all, cultivating the mindset of the leader, because leadership is, first of all, mindset before it's anything else. Okay. It's first of all mindset before it's anything else. It's not position, but positions are good because they help you to leverage what you already have in that position. Okay. Positions are good. There's nothing bad with them. It's just how you use them. But leadership is, first of all, a mindset.
Correct.
Yes. So leaders are born and leaders are made, since Dr. Waffle chose to put me on the spot. Leaders are born and they are also made. So
Correct.
there are people who are deemed or called natural leaders, and these are people who are driven. These are people who have the dominant personality type. They are easily put in leadership roles, and they love leading. Like you just have to lead. So these people, we can say they are born leaders. They are born leaders. But even then, they have to develop the qualities needed for effective leadership. Otherwise, they're just going to drive people around in dictatorship, and the legacy, how long their leadership is going to last, especially after they go, it might not be much. It might not be much. So we are looking at leaders are born, but yet they have to grow to develop themselves more, to become the type of leaders that can actually influence multitudes and have no cap on their leadership. Because you can be born as a leader, but if you don't grow yourself, you're going to limit how far you can go in that leadership endeavor. So I just talked about people who are dominant personality types. That doesn't mean they're the only ones who can lead. Everybody can lead, and different spaces need different kinds of personalities to actually lead. So yes, leaders are born and leaders are created. The next question as we round up is there any difference between fear and phobia? Is phobia a negative or positive tendency? Dr. Waffle.
Well, I would love to really understand the definition. What do you mean by phobia first? You know, my
Well,
English.
a phobia is a morbid fear. It's a morbid fear, an extreme fear. A phobia is an extreme fear. And
Mhm.
like for me, I had an extreme. I'm not saying that I am totally done with it. Like if you take me to these big roller coasters, I went on one once, and I'm not planning to go on another one. I don't know yet. Okay. So I had this morbid fear of heights. I don't know where that came from. I was saying, okay, if my mom were alive, I would have asked her, but that never happened. Okay. So I had this morbid fear of heights, and that's what was affecting me on that bridge. So that was a phobia. That was a
Mhm.
huge phobia for me, you know. So a fear like uh, everybody can be afraid of something at any time. Like you getting, like if I see a snake, I'll be like, oh, that's a snake. Of course, I'm afraid for my life because I don't know if it's poisonous. But a phobia takes it a whole new level. Okay.
Okay.
Like you are maybe walking on the street, you've not seen a snake. Suddenly, you tense up because you imagine that there might be a snake.
Mhm.
And then it affects you to the point where maybe you had to travel. You
Mhm.
refuse to travel and you just go back home and you cancel your travel.
Mhm.
That's how bad it gets. Yeah. So there are different kinds of phobia, claustrophobia, and all of that. So what we are saying is, whatever the kind of fear you have, they might need different solutions to handle them, but hey, work on those fears, especially
All right.
if they are influencing how much you can grow yourself and how much you can influence other people around you positively. You want to work
Mhm.
on them. Yeah. So, ladies
Yep.
and gentlemen, we are wrapping up, and we've had with us, we still have with us Dr. Harold Waffle, and we've been talking on the leadership mindset. Doctor, thank you so much for choosing to hang out with us. Let us know. There are people who came here just to hear you. La sagesse divine. What
Mhm.
would be your last words for our viewers? People are planning to go into 2023 and they're making decisions, shifting things around. What would you say to someone that's listening to you as your final words for today?
Well, I can say that knowledge is not given, it's acquired. That is the biblical belief. Knowledge is is not given, it's acquired. So if you don't go after knowledge, you don't get knowledge. And I'm so glad that we have some people who actually make the decision to come and spend 1 hour to because they're looking for knowledge. So knowledge doesn't come to you; you go after knowledge. And today, with social media, TV, and all those, what is going on, people really don't have time to make the rational decision to look after knowledge. You know, not to be entertained, but to actually look for knowledge. And I want to encourage each one of us that your mind is the greatest investment you can make. It's actually easy to know almost everything now, but you have to make it decision to go after knowledge and to build the knowledge. See, your mindset depend on what you know. So you cannot and you will never become what you don't know, and my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So that's what I can say for the end. Run after knowledge, look for knowledge, and value knowledge more than anything else, because once you get knowledge, you get wisdom. Everything else just gonna follow you naturally.
You will never become what you have not first become. You
Hmm.
have heard Dr. Waffle.
Correct.
You will not become what you have not first become.
Hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Excelling Ladies Bootcamp, leaders, female leaders 30 and above, reach out to me. Let's see how we can make this thing happen for you for 2023 and make it your best year ever. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader